Good morning, Joslyn Center fans and Facebook Live. I am Rebecca, the program director here at the Joslyn Center, and we are back with episode 45 of the Joslyn Variety Show. So today, I know that we mixed up y'all's schedule a little bit. Usually we would have Susan on as a guest on Wednesdays, and I know that it's Friday, but we've got Susan today, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about how quarantine is affecting us and what we can do about it. So go ahead and get comfortable. We are over in the Wellness Center in Susan's office slash wellness room. Do you have a word for your classrooms, therapy rooms? So if you come and see Susan, this might be one of the places that you do it. So I'm going to flip you around so that you can see her, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about wellness during quarantine. I'm going to give her the mic too so you can hear her. All right. Susan, how are you today?
Good, thank you. Hello, everyone. Let me get this mask off. Oh, are we getting used to the mask these days? I don't know if I ever will. It's something tough. So hopefully you guys are doing well. I thought I'd talk about just how everyone's doing, because it seems like this week talking to people, I either had people on two sides of the spectrum. One was they were really good, and I think they were really good because they were doing projects, and we'll talk more about that. And I think the other side was that they just were, their lives were falling apart. They weren't sure about their relationships. They were contemplating divorce or leaving the person they were with. Or if they were single, they were really lonely, and they were trying to figure out how they could really start coping with being alone. And that's like another issue. It's like, is it social isolation or loneliness? So social isolation is what we're all experiencing now. And that's when we're by ourselves and we're alone. In a room, in a place, we're alone somewhere. Where loneliness is, we can be in a room with 1,000 people and still feel lonely because we don't connect with anyone. So we are socially isolated, but we are very lonely. And unfortunately, 24 to 43% of adults over age 60 feel this loneliness. But what was really interesting when I started doing some more research was that 61% of Americans over age 18 were feeling lonely. And that really surprised me because that means the younger generation's feeling lonely also. You think you're old and you're isolated and you're by yourself and you're feeling it, but the younger generation is feeling it. And this statistics was before the pandemic. So this is the Generation X, the millennials, the baby boomers, all had a high percent of loneliness. And I know, talking to other therapists, that there's also a high percentage of depression and anxiety in the younger generation. So I'm thinking that maybe the older generation and the younger generation can really get together more and do more help for each other and with each other. So think about that. It's like, do you have a grandkid? Do you know some kids, neighborhood kids? Can they help you? Can you help them? Can you like maybe babysit or hang around or give some of your advice? Because I know we used to just kind of put the older people, we'll put them away and not talk to them. But I think really, if you could use your wisdom and help this younger generation, I think if we all came together, it'd be really good. So that's what I'm hoping. Also, I want to talk about the quarantine fatigue. Now, quarantine fatigue, you might be feeling really tired all the time and go, what is this about? I'm not doing anything. Well, you know what? It's non-productivity, the sameness, and there's many things that you're not doing that you used to do. So there's no newness in your life or excitement, and that's causing the body to fatigue. So, and we also crave human contact, and we haven't had that in a while. Sometimes we'll do Zoom or we'll do FaceTime or something like that, but really the human contact, the touch and feeling, that's what we're really craving. Also, our efforts to cope, we maybe push them aside or minimizing them or ignore the frustration, sadness, and feel powerlessness. And I want to say, we're all feeling this. It's not just you. So we want you to acknowledge and validate and accept these feelings. And think about sharing them with someone else. You know, if you don't want to share them with your friends or family, you can always call Joslyn Center. You can always talk to Rebecca's here, Judy's here, Veronica's here, and they're all willing to talk. If you don't feel like you really need to come talk to me, you can still come talk to them. I forgot to introduce myself. So Rebecca did say, I'm Susan Chinsky, and I work at the Wellness Center, and I do one-on-one with clients. I also am teaching brain boot camp, aging mastery, and a grief recovery class. So, and my phone number is Joslyn Center with extension 119, so you can always leave me a message. Sorry about that. So anyway, what else do I want to talk about? So we talked about a little bit about teenage depression and anxiety, and the suicide rates, unfortunately, are at an epidemic high for that. And I know that suicide, unfortunately, now for older people is up there also. So we really want to be aware, are people okay? And be able to talk to our neighbors and friends. So also, there's a problem with loneliness that really plays a part in your health. So a lot of times if you're under stress, you have the stress and then you can relax. But kind of this pandemic is we're all like living in really stressful times. And it's like, you know, what's going to be the latest news? What's coming out? Now, I think we've gone through stages. First, we were unknown. It was like, what does this mean? What are we going through? And now, you know, and what is the virus? So I think we've kind of come to that point. We kind of know what's going on. We've done the quarantine, and but we're still stressed. So stress can play a part on our cardiovascular health, our poor sleep, depression, higher inflammation. Also can worsen the control of diabetes and decline in function, immunity, it brings that down. So and there's a higher cost of medical services. So we all want to be sure, you know, how can we help with the loneliness? So we know the pandemic is stressful and we're in fear and worried about our own health. And we're having difficulty concentrating, sometimes sleeping. We may be sleeping more, sleeping less, eating more, eating less. It just depends. We also, there is a higher percentage of alcoholism and tobacco and drug use right now. It's really kind of gotten bad. So we need to pay attention and hopefully help people if they're in that situation. People may be estranged from family members, and maybe this has brought people closer together because they're really reaching out, and hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's one of the benefits of what's going on. Also, we're not going to the gym, we're not going to nightlife, we're not going to the AA meetings or Narcotics Anonymous meetings. We're not doing those things that were helping us. Hopefully you all found Zoom classes or Zoom interventions that you are helping you with that stuff. So also, what our minds do with the sense of isolation is sometimes worse than the isolation itself. So how are our minds playing effect of the isolation? That's really important. And also your inner voice. Now you may have heard your inner voice talk a little bit in the past, and maybe it's talking even more to you now and saying, you're worthless, you can't do anything, you've lost your job, what good are you? And this little voice keeps haunting you and talking to you. If that's happening, I want you to say back to the voice, I am productive, I am doing things, and really do things. So your inner voice, you can shut it up. So that's, your inner critic is right there right now, I'm sure with a lot of you. So just know that that's a normal thing going on with people right now, and there's a way to combat it. Just talk back to that voice. Okay. Also, it may be harder for us to reach out to others because we just don't want to bother them. I don't want to bother my neighbor. I don't want to bother. Call us. You could bother us. It's no problem. So we know that you need to take care of yourself. And of course, that's eating, sleeping, getting good nutrition, good hydration. Remember, you need hydration now. So there's some good things you can do, like reading. And I found this was really interesting because I thought, okay, you just read. But you know what? If you read a novel, and if you're normally not reading fiction books, read a novel, get into the character, really feel like character, feel what they're going through. And maybe for a little while during the day, you can experience that. So you're experiencing their life and not your life. So that's a good thing to do. Of course, you can watch TVs, movies, Netflix, binge watch. That's okay to do sometimes. You need a little rest. Create or listen to music. I know now there's virtual concerts that are going on, and there's virtual plays that I've seen. So there's lots of stuff you could do. And take a virtual tour of a museum. That's really interesting. I think the Louvre is on there. I think maybe the Getty Museum. So a few museums, check those out. And engage in activities like play games, puzzle, draw, or even knit. And you may want to think, you know what can I do? I'm older, I can't get out, I can't help anyone. You know what, did you used to knit? You can maybe knit a blanket for someone and then give it to them in the fall. There's tons of organizations that need blankets for kids, for people with cancer. So there's lots of things you could do. I know people are making masks for other people, but think about maybe a bigger project. So think about quilting, knitting, any of that stuff. You can do it now in your home in the privacy and give it to someone later on, which is a really good thing. So also spend time in nature now that we can go out a little bit, or even just walk around your block and just admire the view. It's like so nice, and do it this weekend before it gets too hot. So go out there, look at the sky, look at the sun, hear the birds. I know they're chirping. So that's good. Also, look at photos and reminisce. Now you may think, oh, photos are so depressing. But you know what? They also can be uplifting. You know, what were your kids like when they were little? Can you remember some of the stories? And maybe even send a picture to the kids, or FaceTime, show them the picture and go, God, do you remember when we did this? Or do you remember your 6th birthday? Or something about it. And it's like reminiscing, and it's nice. So that's like really a fun, interesting thing to do, and I thought that's not on very many people's lists. So can you reminisce, go through old pictures, or maybe even divide them up if you have a couple kids, a few kids, you know, put them in piles. Each one gets a little pile. They're always fun to look at. You can do virtual classes, exercise, meditation. I think there's even classes at the colleges. There's all sorts of different colleges, classes. So if you've thought, I don't have time in my normal everyday life, you know what, maybe you do now. Learn a new language, do something interesting. Also, pray or meditate. Now that's another one. So you may be praying or meditating for yourself, but after you do that, you may want to think globally. You know what, just put white light on the whole earth, the whole planet. You may want to, just go from yourself and go out and further go out to your house, your neighborhood, your city, your state, your country, and just keep going out and bring that energy all over. So that's something that you could do in the privacy of your home. And what did you love when you were younger? Did you have a hobby when you were younger? Did you paint? Did you draw? What did you do when you were younger? So that's really important. Go back and do something fun that you did, that you used to do. And maybe you want to plan for the future. What's going to happen in the future? A trip. I know someone was talking to me the other day, and they were planning a trip. And I got all excited about their trip. You know, they're going to drive cross country possibly, where they're going to stay, what are they going to do. And that's something fun to do when we all can move around a little bit more. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to see? What have you really missed? Is there a bucket list? Maybe there's just things you want to do. You just want to just do anything. Go bike riding somewhere, or go skiing somewhere next season, or just go visit grandkids or kids and just have fun. So that's all important to figure out on future what you want to do. So when people are coming out of quarantine, they may have mixed feelings. They may have mixed emotions. They may feel relieved, or they may be a little more concerned, because what if they think, oh my gosh, what if this person I'm next to has the virus and they weren't wearing a mask, or I touched something they touched? So, or you may go out with friends and think, oh, do they think I have the virus? Am I contagious? Are they contagious? So there's going to be a lot of mixed feelings that you may have. You may feel guilty that you weren't working or you're not working now. And so that may be a concern of you. And remember that children are going to feel these emotions, and they may feel different emotions, and it's really important to ask them their feelings. Let them just vent and talk about it, and you can even share that you're scared too and how you feel. So that's really important. So maybe the pandemic caused people to reevaluate their priorities and remind them what their truest values are. Have you thought about what's really important in life and how they most want to spend their time? Also, what we want to do is to connect to our society and our whole group as we are, and look at how can we control and maximize even the smallest victories that we've had. You know, what was really important? What did we do? Did we clean a closet today? Did we go out and do something that we really needed to do? Give yourself credit for that. You know, little things matter in this day and age. And positive psychology shows that positive feelings of altruism last much longer than doing something that you did for fun. So remember, if you do something for someone else, that'll make you feel a lot better than just going out and having a good time. That's important too. Research shows that having to endure forced periods of uncertainty can lead to greater satisfaction, gratitude, and flexibility later in life. And this is called resilience. You know, are we resilient? We've overcome this. We've gone through the pandemic. There's more to come. But how we can relate and how we are, that's our resilience. So hopefully you guys are hanging in there and you're being resilient and you're doing some fun things. And think about some other things you could do. Think about the kids, grandkids. Think about the planet. And hopefully we're going to get through this together for sure, and hopefully we'll see you back at the Joslyn Center soon. So thank you. Again, I'm Susan Chinsky. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Susan. Here, I'm going to flip you around so I can say goodbye, because it's Friday and we are off to the weekend. So I know that it is a 3-day weekend here at the Joslyn Center, so we won't be into the office on Monday, and we won't have a variety show on Monday, so I hope y'all will hang in there without us. There are tons of fun things to do online. I'll encourage you to check out our virtual learning series. I post every day at 2 o'clock on Facebook, something new to learn. You can discover museums, or you can discover hiking trails. You can discover articles about history that you may not have known before. So that'll keep you busy over the long weekend. You can go back and look at older ones that we've posted as well. And we will see you guys again on Tuesday. So stay safe, stay happy, comfort each other, be there for each other, and we'll be there for you in just a couple of days. So